Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the MFK Spotlight Podcast. I'm your host, Dev Foster, and today we're going to be speaking with mixed martial artist and musician frontman for ShinraCo, Jonny Jones. Jonny, how are you doing, buddy?
Hey, Dev, how's it going, man?
I'm doing well. I tried to put a little energy into that. Did you feel it?
Yeah, I did. That was some pizzazz on
there
that
you go.
one, man.
A little,
I liked it.
a little razzle dazzle, as they say.
Razzle dazzle.
So, you and I, we go back a little bit, a couple, maybe 2 years now, 3 years now?
Yeah, I think it's 2 years.
Yeah. We used to work together at a certain restaurant that will go unnamed. Pretty awful, terrible, shitty place.
Yeah, I did not enjoy it. I enjoyed your company, and I enjoyed working with you. I didn't enjoy much else about that spot.
Yeah, it was not a fun working environment.
No.
The morale was very low, for sure.
Yeah, it was. That's what I was gonna say. It was just kind of a real toxic vibe, man. Like, just to keep it real, it wasn't a cool place to work.
No, because during that time I'd been, trying to write music, and I found that it kind of it affected my creativity a little bit. Like,
oh yeah.
I was trying to write about happy, fun, positive things, and I couldn't do it.
Oh no, dude, it'll mess your energy up. It'll definitely seep into your own personal energy, and the next thing you know, your vibe is all screwed up because of these idiots around you. So, I think we both did good by getting out of there.
Absolutely. On to bigger and better. And speaking of on to bigger and better, you have quite the weekend coming up.
Yeah, man.
You've got a lot going on. Your band, ShinraCo, is coming out with their album, Come to Grips.
Yes, sir. It drops on the 30th. It's going down.
Yeah. How long has that been in the works?
At least a couple years. My band, ShinraCo, we've gone through so much as a band. To tell you the truth, ShinraCo is pretty much me. Right now, I think with the lineup that I have, I think this is the one that's going to take and that's going to stay solid. But ShinraCo has been 3 different bands, all named ShinraCo, but the first 2, everybody quit, and then I had to rebuild it. So this time around, I got 2 really good friends of mine, 2 really talented guys. The first guy, Jerome, it was me and him for a little while. For a few months, it was just me and Jerome tracking through, man, playing open mics and doing acoustic stuff just so we could stay out there. And I suppose I ought to give a shout out to that one kid that played drums for us for a while. So there, I did that. And then after that, Jerome knew Eric Trujillo, and Eric is one of the best guitar players I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And I'm not just saying that because he's my boy. He's a awesome dude. He's most humble guy you could ever meet. Handsome kid, drives a freaking Corvette, plays guitar really well, and has the same 80s sensibilities as I do. So we get along really well with the band.
I was going to mention that, but I was going to mention it after we played the song. But the 80s vibe that I get from you guys, it's so refreshing. Because it's so unapologetically 80s, and I love that.
Oh, Dev, you're too good to me, man. Wow. Thank you. That's awesome, man.
I'm a sucker for 90s R&B and 80s rock. In most of its forms. I love it.
The thing is, there was a certain golden age of rock and roll. There was a few golden ages, but there was a certain golden age that I had the pleasure of being a part of. And that one was the 80s, man. And it was, I remember MTV's first broadcast. I was hair metal. I was in front of my mirror with a brush as a microphone, leading the band in my imagination. And I'm a left-handed drummer. I learned how to play right-handed so I would look like Ricky Rocket from Poison, and I would look like Tommy Lee from Motley Crue. And the kids in school didn't know what to do with me because it was still the 80s, and, little skinny black kids didn't know all the words to the Appetite for Destruction album, but I did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that comes through in the music that I because that's the stuff that I love. I mean, one of my heroes is Elvis Costello, and he was hair metal, but he's one of the most prolific writers of our time, and people sleep on that stuff, man. I think a lot of kids, they think 80s and they think, you know, oh my gosh, that's so lame or that's so old. And it's like, no, man, go back and just listen to the riffs. Don't listen to the words. Don't look at the videos. Listen to the riffs and feel those vibes, feel that energy. And I think it would translate so much better. It was a great time for music. So when people hear Come to Grips, they're definitely going to get a very healthy dose of that.
Would you say that Come to Grips, that 80s sound that you hear in Come to Grips, is that the band sound or is that the sound of Come to Grips? Does that make sense? Is the 80s vibe just kind of the vibe that you're feeling right now, or is that the overall sound of ShinraCo?
It's both. It's the reason why two bands quit on me. Basically, it's a formula happening. It's a formula that's finally synthesizing the way that it was supposed to all along. The first incarnation of ShinraCo was me and some good friends of mine, you know, and we just decided to go for it. We had some songs, and we were all different, you know. We were all awesome, but we were all different. We all had different ideas. So young bands do that, you know. Young bands break up. No harm, no foul. Shout out everybody that used to be in ShinraCo. And then, you know, I pulled it back together, and I made a mistake because I packed the band with guys younger than me. No offense to anybody, but there were a lot of guys that hadn't really paid their dues yet. There were a lot of guys that didn't have any scene etiquette. I hate to say it, but it's a thing, and it matters when you're a young band. And so there was a lot of clashing going on. That band ended up quitting too. So I was like, all right, ShinraCo is just me, you know. It was the writing. You know, I had a guy in the band that wanted to do punk rock, and so I'd say, let's write a punk rock song. Okay, fine. I had a guy in the band that wanted to do hip-hop, rap rock type stuff. I said, so let's write a song like that. But I always tried to put my spin on the stuff, and my spin is what they weren't vibing with, you know? Yeah. And, you know, no offense to anyone. Again, that's what happens. I don't like a lot of stuff, too. But, yeah, I had to find guys that wanted to do the same stuff as I did. And it takes a while sometimes, but this is a formula that's actually happening, you know. When you hear Jerome's bass riffs, you hear Eric's leads, and hopefully you hear, you know, my riffs and my voice, and you like it. And I hear that, like, you know, this was supposed to happen. These guys, they definitely vibe with each other. And wait till you hear the solos on this album, man. The guitar solos on this album. Again, shout out to Eric. He engineered the whole album as well. He's definitely that extra spark of life we needed. We're looking for a drummer. I'll put that out in the air, too. If you hear anything today on the show and you like it, get at us. We're looking for a drummer. So there's that. About how long did it take for you to write? The whole album definitely took, it's a culmination of a couple years worth of writing. You know, Eric brought some stuff to the table, and Jerome did as well. But a lot of that stuff, a couple of the songs were new. You know, a couple of the songs where we got together and we created them right there with the three of us. And then a lot of them were songs that I already had. There's some old recordings out there of a few of them, but a lot of those songs were just songs that hadn't seen the light of day yet. And they needed to be, cleaned up and spun around a little bit. But they were I only kept the good stuff. The stuff that I thought was good, and I'm the worst critic ever. Everyone's their own worst critic. I am the walking example of that for sure. I only kept the good stuff, and it was hard, but, you know, I whittled it down, and, yeah, I brought those with me, and it was kind of cool to finally get those songs out, because then I had a clean palette of writing, and, like, the new stuff that I've been coming with, and, again, the next album's writing itself. You know, there were songs that make this album, and I was bummed about it because we're not Metallica, we're not Coheed, you can't have a 28-song album, you know what I mean? But that's how many songs we were like, oh, this is great. So, yeah, we're keeping it cranking, man. It's fun right now. So, we're going to play Wake Up, the newest release from your band.
But before we do, tell us a little bit about the song. How did it come about?
It was very it was written at a time when I was angry. I mean, I'll say that, and I was mad at the whole world. No matter what side anybody was on, everybody was talking. There was just all this yammering back and forth, and I felt like everybody was talking so much they were failing to see the big picture, which is, it's all of us, man, you know. And I'm not trying to sound like an idealist or like one of these kids or anything. It's not like that, but I mean, people got to look around. I mean, I wrote the song during the last election, if I'm putting it all the way real. And again, it doesn't matter what side you're on with that. It's cool. But it's like, as people, we got to get it together as people, man. Everyone thinks that everyone thinks that someone else is out to hurt them. And it sucks because the world is crazy. But I think that if we could just kind of kill that vibe and we could bring back some sort of, even just in our neighborhoods, just some sort of like, you know, love for people, just being nice to each other, something simple as that, it would change things so drastically. And that's where Wake Up comes from. It was way more harsh than that because I was really mad and I just wanted everybody to shut up. I was just so over it, and I really felt bad afterwards. That song was way more raw than I wanted it to be when it went on the album. The guys voted, and Eric and Jerome wanted to put it on there, so we did. But I didn't want people to think that I was just some sort of like pissy brat that was writing dumb songs and, you know, calling everybody out, because that's not where it came from.
Well, I mean, it came from a place of caring. You know, you feel
Exactly.
strongly about this, about it. So, you know, it makes sense.
It was one of the first times. Well, not one of the first times, but one of the first times that I like publicly was like, okay, man, here's how I feel about this, you know. And, you know, with the age of the internet and all the social media, people like to try to give themselves a personal filter sometimes. And I wasn't even messing with that at the time. So that's where Wake Up came from. I tried to articulate it into a song, but, well, you got to be the judge of that for yourself, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to play the song, and then you're going to give us some more of your thoughts on the current administration. And as well
I'm mad, Dad. I'm real mad.
as well as your big MMA tournament this weekend up in Baltimore. But first, here's Wake Up by ShinraCo.
Yeah.
Wake up, don't you think you've been asleep too long? I might be coming on a bit too strong, but anyone can see that something's wrong. Now wake up, we never show up anywhere on time. Somehow we're always down to our last dime. We're only fast enough to fall behind. Can't you see I'm crying? Can't you see I'm dying? Can't you see I'm crying? Can't you see I'm dying? So please wake up. Now wake up, nobody else is gonna pay this bill. I keep on screaming till I get my fill. I got opinions and some time to kill. Can't you see I'm crying? Can't you see I'm dying? Can't you see I'm crying? Can't you see I'm dying? So please wake up. smell the tension 'cause it's going down. The water rises while we slowly drown. Me and my apathy are safe and sound. Can't you see I'm crying? Can't you see I'm dying? Can't you see I'm crying? Can't you see I'm dying? So please wake up. 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 So please wake up.
That was Wake Up by ShinraCo, and I'm being joined by Jonny Jones, frontman for ShinraCo.
Hey.
I love that song. I love that 80s vibe, I'm telling you. It's just...
Yeah, man, that riff is sick. I'm sorry. You're not supposed to say that about your own stuff, but that riff is so dope. Love it.
I love it so much. It's weird. It's like 80s, like early 90s, because like I get that like Bayside High feeling. That, you know what I'm talking about? That's
Nice.
exactly what it brings me
man.
back to.
I love it.
Yeah. So you said the song was about, you know, your feelings around the time of the election.
Yep.
How do you feel the administration's done so far? Like, do you think the people who voted for the current president, do you think they got what they wanted, or do you think they were kind of duped?
All right, man. Like, okay, I have just 2 points to touch on, like, real quick with that. Because I don't want to sound preachy. I think that, number one, no presidential candidate was going to save anyone's life. No presidential candidate was going to change anything as drastically as everybody made it sound. And I think that people, no matter who is in the Oval Office, need to live a good life, need to worry about themselves and not what everyone else is doing. Need to not think everybody's trying to hurt them, but live a good life, raise your kids well. I feel like this administration was based on fear. It was based on hate, it was based on anger, and it was based on fear, and it gave a platform to that fear, and, you know, people rolled with it. You know, all you got to do is make someone bold enough to know that someone else has their back, and they'll roll with whatever you got most times. And, you know, the funny thing, Dev, and this is kind of the other point, it was really funny to me because I love everybody. You know, I grew up around all skins, sizes, all that, but it was real funny after, you know, he won. The first thing I saw was this protest in Seattle, okay? And it was a bunch of white people, angry as hell, white people walking down the street protesting. And it was the craziest thing in my brain because all I felt like was, oh, now you guys are mad. Oh, now y'all feel like you got ripped off. Well, welcome to America. We've been here the whole time. You know what I mean? And it's not a black-white thing. It's more of a your bubble, my bubble kind of thing. Some of us don't have the luxury of a bubble. A lot of people that are now angry and that now feel like they've been had, their bubble got popped. They had no control over the bubble, and it got popped, and now they're outside with us, and it's uncomfortable. But now we're on the same side, you know, and I think that some of the people did get what they wanted out of this administration. There's some people that are about that life, for lack of a better term, as far as the stuff that as far as the stuff that, the guy in the Oval Office right now is spreading, as far as stuff that this administration is pushing. Did you hear what happened just now with the transgender thing in the Army?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Banning,
it's the scariest thing in the world is there are a lot of people that are just fine with that. That's what they signed up for. And I feel like it's more important now than ever to educate yourself. Everybody wanted to talk in the 11th hour about this other candidate. Well, maybe we'll vote this way because this guy sounds good. They were reaching for straws. All right?
Yeah.
People need to start being vocal now. These candidates that came out of nowhere last time need to be present now and start talking those politics now, because the door is going to shut real quick. And are we going to give them another 4 years?
Yeah,
Is there going to be
people
all around America? You know what I mean? It's very important for people to be paying attention. I mean, social media is such a huge thing. We should be using it for what it's needed for right now,
I don't agree with the idea that a president can't create a lot of change during their term. I will say President Obama turned around a lot in this country in his 2 terms. That being said, we'll discuss politics perhaps further in another episode.
It's so exhausting. It's all so exhausting. Live a good life, everybody. Love each other. Okay? Don't pay attention to the president. Pay attention to one another. Live good lives. Be good to each other.
Yeah. Or go to tournaments and kick the shit out of each other, like you're about to do this Saturday.
That's the option I chose.
Yeah. So you're going to be heading up to the U.S. International Kushu Championship Tournament in Baltimore, Maryland.
Well, Dev, you did great. You said it right. When you spell it out, it looks like Kuoshu, so it's a little weird. But yeah, it's a big deal. It's actually it's not MMA. It's a kickboxing tournament. I've been doing Sanshao kickboxing for about the last 2 years, and if I could, hey, shout out Fight Team LLC, Tampa, Linebaugh Avenue. Check it out. Shout out Coach Rich Galicia. Shout out Colin, Kev, Jen, everybody over at Fight Team. Love you guys. They're very much responsible for me even being a part of this. And I've always known how to fight. My dad was a black belt in Taekwondo, and it's always been a thing in my house and my family. My cousins fight, but I've never really been a jock. I hate the gym, and getting into Sanshao was just the best thing. I stumbled on the Fight Team. Me and my girl were looking for a workout, and I stumbled on the Fight Team, and it was just cool. Like, we never left. It's a family over there. It's brutal. Coach will kick your ass. It is brutal, but you're going to learn to defend yourself. You're going to learn the most stylish, dangerous thing in the world, which is Sanshao. It's awesome, and you're going to look beautiful at it. So check it out. Wow, sorry, I kind of gushed on Fight Team. But,
no. No, it's one of those things you're passionate about, and there's nothing wrong with that. You seem like a close-knit group, so shout them out, absolutely.
Iron sharpens iron, and when you go through the fire with somebody, it definitely, it makes you a sort of family. It makes you, these are people that see you at your most vulnerable. Going to the gym sucks. You know what I mean? Going to a fight gym sucks 10 times more, because these are alphas in there. Okay, these are alpha-minded people, and these are people that are there for a reason. And so, when you train with those types of folks the way we train, and you come out of it, it's not about how you look aesthetically. It's about how you feel on the inside, and you feel amazing. Coach will have you feeling like you could win a war by yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's an awesome thing. So, yeah, man. And it's just martial arts. Sanshao is like a Chinese derivative of Muay Thai. It's kind of like Muay Thai with more sweeps and takedowns. There's no submissions in the tournament this weekend. There's no ground and pounding, as it's called. You can't beat someone up on the ground. You can do takedowns, and then they separate you. It's mostly point fighting, but you can still get knocked out. And, you know, at Fight Team, we go for the knockout, man. Everybody up there knows we come to bang, and it's going to be a fun weekend. I'm looking forward to hitting people. I'm looking forward to getting hit. It's so therapeutic, you know?
Yeah. So what's your end game with, you know, MMA? Do you see yourself taking on a fight career? I mean, or do you see yourself more coaching?
Well, nah, like I don't really have a fight career in mind because, you know, I'm not trying to be, you know, I'm not going to give my age out, but I'm too old to be standing across from some 19-year-old badass who's got something to prove to the whole world, and, you know, he's going to rip my face off to get where he needs to be. Nah, man. I definitely want to be a legit coach, and I don't think I could do that without a few good wins under my belt, because as a student, who wants to learn from someone who's never done it? Like, you can't comfort a fighter and get his or her nerves under control if you've never made the walk yourself down to the ring, you know, whether it's MMA, whether it's kickboxing, whether it's ping pong. I mean, you know, you have to know what you're doing if you're going to be teaching it. So I just want to be a legit coach because that is my end game. I really want to be, I love teaching, you know, whether it's guys, girls, kids. I love giving the art, you know, over. I don't have enough to be like, oh, I'm so wise with it. But the stuff I can teach, it's awesome because it's like having a superpower. I think everybody needs to learn at least a little martial arts because the world is crazy, man. And, you know, better to have it and not need it, you know?
Absolutely.
Bev, I'll have you knocking people out at the ATM. like, even if they don't deserve it, you just get paranoid and just start crossing people. Wow. Like, so I got you, Dev.
No, I'm a little too skittish for that. Now, so is music more of a priority?
Music is always a priority. I think, I'm a big music nerd. Ever since, you know, day one, I've been just a big music nerd. And I got lucky because I started a band in high school. So I got to skip around a lot of the nerd phase. People thought it was cool, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm one of those kids where you put an instrument in front of me and give me an hour, I'll figure out at least the scale. You know what I mean?
Were you one of those guys who got into music because, you know, you're like, oh man, I'm going to join a band. It's definitely going to get me laid. Or was it more, or did the art truly speak to you?
Well, I would say it was definitely
a mixture of both.
Well, at different times, because I've been playing music since I was a little kid, you know, and at the time it was just, you know, my mom, when I was really little, some of my first memories, and this, I'm not making this up on my life. I'm not making this up. When I was little, my mom, we lived in Kansas, in this place called Manhattan, Kansas. It looked nothing like Manhattan, New York. It was flat. There were buffaloes, but
wow.
She used to clean the house. Yeah, it was crazy.
You know what's funny? My boyfriend is from Onega, which is not far from Manhattan, and
what?
he actually lived there. So
no
small
way.
world.
No way! That's awesome.
Small world.
Yeah, man. My dad was stationed at Fort Riley over there, so we lived in Manhattan, and you know, on Sundays my mom would clean the house, and she would put me on the floor. And I'd have my little toys because I was big about my action figures. And she would put on all different music, man. She would play Motown, but then she would play the Doobie Brothers. Or then she would play some Chuck Berry. Or then she would play some Luther Vandross, Dev. I mean, like, you know, like
classics.
The real stuff. Yeah, the real stuff. And it all seeped into this great big mishmash of good taste, if you ask me. But, you know, definitely eclectic taste. Like, my music is definitely a part of me, so I gotta say, yeah, that's a priority. Now, am I trying to get big? Am I trying to get a deal? I did that whole episode of my life already, so I'm not chasing no record labels or anything. It's the age of the internet, you know. Come to Grips is all DIY, and I think that's the level we're gonna stay on. If people like it and they want to see us on a bigger stage, well, then that's up to them, you know, to push it. But we're good, you know. Just so long as we can make it to where people can hear it. And, you know, we put our hearts into it and share it. That's what you got to do, man. Now, did I do it to get laid? Hell yeah. In high school, I was so glad to be in a band because I've never been a jock, you know. I've never been a ball player. I've never been a buff guy. So the fact that I had music, I used to get picked on, Dev. I was a big nerd, and once I got into middle school, music started to matter. And people started trying to learn music and started signing up for music classes. I was already there. I was already at a certain level. And I'm like, oh, you guys are impressed by this now. Boom. And so things kind of went left. I got to skip a little bit more of nerdland for a while, which shout out to anybody in school. The word nerd is not a bad word. Do your thing. Keep moving forward, especially if it's something with the arts, because you're going to be just fine later on. You're going to be totally fine. It's a beautiful gift you have. You got to use it. So do that, you know?
Definitely. So what were some of your plans for the upcoming year? Are you planning on doing more tournaments, or are you going to try any kind of touring with the band?
Well, the tournament is probably the last bigger thing I'm going to do like this as far as fighting. If I do take another fight, it'll be a while, because I had to tune a lot of things out to train for this, you know? So, you know, I have to kind of check back into reality after this and, you know, handle business. I'm never going to stop training, but I'm probably not going to have another fight like this unless I win. If I win this, when I win this, I should say, you know, it's not just a gold medal you get. This is a qualifier for the world team. Okay, right now it's nationals. If I win, I get to go to like Malaysia or somewhere. I forget where it is this time, but it's the world competition. So when I win this time, like if I podium, it's first through third in the nation, you know, so it's a big deal. It's prestigious. So I'm not really looking past that right now. You know, I'll probably get more to the coaching angle after that. Now, as far as the music though, we are actually looking to tour, but we can't do that until we find a new drummer. We have done all the drums ourselves because I play the drums pretty well, and Eric has a good ear also. But we are definitely looking for a drummer. We haven't been in a rush because we have a very good vibe between the three of us, but now it's time to play out again. And so if you hear this, you hear anything on the show that you like, hit us up. You know, we'll talk, because we are definitely auditioning drummers right now. And yeah, once we get that settled, we're trying to break bigger stages. We're trying to go ahead and break back into Orlando and, you know, further south like Sarasota and, you know, just the surrounding areas. We're not really trying to tour the country, but if we could do like a nice little Central Florida, you know, 3-day weekend or something, you know, baby steps.
Yeah. Good luck. Also, if you're in Baltimore, Maryland, or in the surrounding area, be sure to hit up the U.S. International Kushu Championship Tournament this Saturday, 10 a.m., going all day. Thank you so much, Jonny, for coming out and being a part of the show. I appreciate it.
Dev, I had a blast. Thank you. This was awesome.
All right, so we're going to play out with Absolutely Zero, which will be on the album, I understand, right?
Yes, it will. And this song, I hope you guys like it. Please check out Come to Grips. It drops this coming Sunday. And it's for everybody, man. Let us know what you think. ShinraCo on Facebook, ShinraCo on Instagram. Hit us up. We love you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jonny, and thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the MFK Spotlight Podcast. My name is Dev Foster. Have a great day.
You're coming from an angry place, and everyone can see it written on your face.